I wanted to move abroad since I was a little kid. And for years I kept finding reasons not to do it. This is the story of what finally changed it all for me. 1 year ago, I packed my life and moved to Norway. But honestly, the harder story is what happened before it. So, in this video, I'm going back in time. I found some old notes from 1 year ago, thoughts that I had written down or spoken on a video about why I wanted to move abroad. And honestly, reading them again was kind of emotional in a way. There are a lot of reasons why I wanted to do it, but there are also a lot of reasons why it took me so long to actually do it. And today I want to talk about both of them. I wanted to live abroad for as long as I can remember, honestly. Even as a little girl, it just was there. This feeling that I wanted to be somewhere else, somewhere new. You could see it in small things. When I got the chance to study German in primary school, I took it immediately. I studied it all the way through to 9th grade, I think. Of course, we had English at school, and Swedish came also later. I've always been interested in different languages and different cultures. And I remember being around 10 years old maybe, and constantly asking my parents if I could go on an English language course abroad. And there was, for example, this organization called Education First that organized trips like that in Finland, and if I'm not mistaken, they work internationally. And I got all the brochures at home. I always told my parents that I wanted to go, but I never got to go, and that bothered me for a long time, and it still bothers a little bit. Whenever I heard that someone had, for example, done a high school exchange year abroad, I felt genuinely jealous because I wanted that so badly too. And I guess it was probably just too expensive for us, and that option simply wasn't available to me. But that inner pull towards living abroad never went away. This is Susanna from the future. I realized that I actually forgot to mention one thing that is quite important for this video and overall the story of me and my channel. I don't even know how it's possible that I didn't mention this the first thing on this video. I think it's just so obvious to me that I forgot to mention it. But of course you probably don't know this unless you know me personally. But yeah, so the thing is that one reason why I am very interested in seeing different cultures and seeing the world is that I am actually a dual citizen and I have a multicultural family. So I was born in Thailand and raised in Finland, so I have a Thai mom and a Finnish father. So I've basically lived between two different cultures for my whole life, and of course it probably is one of the reasons why I am so interested in seeing the world. And it's something that I really embrace nowadays. There have been times in my life when I haven't really appreciated it. It's very complicated sometimes. Maybe I can talk about it on another video because it's a big subject. But yeah, I think it has made my life so rich. Like, I've learned so much about how people live in different sides of the world, and I love Thai food. Like, if I had to choose Finnish or Thai food, I would definitely choose Thai. Although we have some very good Finnish foods too that I'm very proud of, but I have to admit that I prefer Thai food so much more. So yeah, this was something that I totally forgot to mention, and it feels so stupid. It's so funny, but it's just so obvious to me that I simply forgot. But now let's get back to the original video. But like, if I always wanted to go, why didn't I just go then? Well, there were quite many reasons for that. One of them was my relationship. I know this sounds very harsh, but yeah, it actually was. Because I had been with my partner since before I was even 20 years old, and I just kept thinking that leaving just wasn't realistic because it wouldn't have been so easy because we both should have had like jobs or studies or anything. But I did get to travel when I wanted to, and that was amazing. I was quite free in that in that sense. But committing to a long-term move was a totally different thing. Like, of course. Then my mind was also one thing, and there were many thoughts in my own head that were probably the loudest and biggest obstacles. I kept thinking like, well, if I started to search for jobs abroad, like why would any employer abroad hire me when there are local candidates everywhere? What could I possibly offer to any employer that they couldn't find like closer to home or their location, I mean. So yeah, that was also one thing that was in my head for years. And then there was music, and I mean that I was in a band, and that the band has always meant a lot to me. And actually, I am wearing our hoodie right now. So yeah, if you like symphonic metal music, search for Children of the Frost on YouTube. You can find our channel there, and I will maybe put a link in the description too. But yeah, I had been in that band for many years. And I just kept telling myself that I couldn't live abroad and stay in the band at the same time. It would be so complicated. And leaving the band never felt like the right decision. So I just stayed in that and didn't move anywhere. Then there was also the fear of leaving everything behind, because my whole life is in Finland. My friends are in Finland, my family is in Finland, and then I just thought that walking away from all of that, it felt scary, of course. I didn't know how I would manage. I didn't know how anything would work, like how to find housing, how to make new friends, figuring out the day-to-day stuff in a new country. And then there was the language side of things, because my German and Swedish, they are very rusty. And the only foreign language I speak quite fluently is English. And that felt like it narrowed the options a lot. And when I thought about learning a whole new language from scratch, well, I just didn't have the energy for that. Then at one point my health was also a factor. There was a period in my life where my health situation simply wouldn't have allowed me to move. So yeah, a lot of things were in the way. And even though I had traveled for longer periods, my longest trip was, I think, 2 months about. Traveling and actually moving to another country are two very different things, realistically speaking. And moving felt overwhelming. All those practical arrangements, the emotional side, and the sheer unknown of everything. So I just kept putting it off time and time again. But because this feeling just couldn't leave me alone, I started looking for other ways out. And when I was in a University of Applied Sciences, I knew I wanted to do an exchange at some point. It felt like a safer and more structured way to try living abroad. But there's always a but in everything. I chose the wrong field and quit before I even got far enough to qualify for an exchange. So that door closed before I could reach it. Then I went to a vocational school where you can study like different things and get an occupation. At one point I did a 1 week exchange through this vocational school. I stayed with a host family in Germany for a week, and they visited Finland later that year. It was spring. Well, it wasn't that life-changing, but it was my first real taste of international exchange through education, and it was genuinely a good experience. I really enjoyed it, and those Germans I stayed with, they were very, very nice people. Then later I applied for another vocational qualification in audiovisual communications. I had studied it already, like years earlier, like I don't know, maybe about 10 years earlier, but I wanted to update my skills. That's when I first heard about Erasmus traineeships for vocational graduates. It's like a program where you could go abroad for an internship or work placement for up to 4 months. And it's supported by European Union funding, at least in some way, if I'm not mistaken. Of course, I was immediately interested, and I thought, well, yeah, this is it. I'm doing this as soon as I possibly can. But again, I graduated in 2020, the famous Corona year. Borders were closed and nobody knew how long they'd stay closed. And I remember thinking like, are you serious? Like, is this really happening to me again? And I remember that there was a 1-year deadline for applying, so you had to apply to this trainee internship program at latest 1 year after graduating. And well, then that 1 year deadline for applying passed. By the time the corona restrictions started easing, I was already too late. I asked if I still could apply, and the answer was like, technically yes, but I would only have had 1 month abroad before the window closed. So my internship would have lasted only for 1 month. And 1 month, it just felt too short. Like the first month abroad is basically just finding your feet and trying to figure out how everything works. So then I said no. I didn't want to leave for a short time. Well, after that, I decided to keep going and completed another vocational qualification. You can complete this, I think, as many as you want to. So this another vocational qualification focused on digital marketing and entrepreneurship. So it was partly connected to the media field I already knew. And the moment I graduated from this digital marketing, I sent my Erasmus application immediately. And that was when things finally started moving. I got accepted. I got to choose 3 country preferences. Spain was my first choice, Germany was the second, and Ireland was the third. Then I got Spain, this internship program. They found the placement for me, sorted out housing and healthcare, and I received travel support, like financial support, plus a monthly grant for living costs. At that time, I was unemployed in Finland, and after some conversations with the employment office, I also managed to keep receiving unemployment benefits while I was away in Spain. And in February 2024, I flew to Spain, and I was nervous. Like, even though I knew exactly when I was coming back, I stayed in Spain for 3 months, and by that time it was the longest period of time that I had been away from Finland. My partner stayed in Finland, and unfortunately he couldn't visit me, and that part was hard. But overall, things went really well. I made local friends, which was incredible, and my life there, it was active and full. I went to concerts, explored the city and its surroundings, and I really lived my life. The traineeship itself was a mixed experience. The company I was placed with, it turned out to be quite disorganized. Honestly, a bit of an extreme example of how chaotic some workplaces can be. And when I heard how smooth other people's experiences had been, I realized that I just had some bad luck with that particular company I was working in. But it was still a huge learning experience. And when I had to leave Spain and fly back to Finland, it genuinely felt sad. Like, Spain left me with one clear feeling, and the feeling was that I want to do this again and for longer, and that I can actually do this. So then, another big reason for leaving Finland was the job situation. It's still tough. Like, unemployment in Finland is one of the highest in the European Union countries at the moment. And you don't need to read much news to see that. And of course, like my own field, like audiovisual communication and media, isn't exactly that very easy when it comes to job opportunities, especially like permanent full-time jobs. Very difficult to get one. But I wasn't only applying for media jobs during the last few years. Like, I applied for anything that I thought I could do, like restaurant work, for example, which I have experience in. And I applied constantly, and nothing happened. At my first point, I was unemployed for 9 months, basically from one summer job to the next. Of course, I was always grateful for those summer jobs, but these years before had been very hard. Like, I heard stories about hundreds of applicants for example, cleaning jobs and fast food positions, the kinds of jobs people say that anyone can get them. But the truth is that that's not true anymore. Like, one open position, hundreds of applicants, the odds are not in your favor. It's just so simple. It's a numbers game and maybe a luck game also, in a way. So then I reached a point where I thought that there's no point in doing this to myself. I was just basically banging my head against the walls all the time. And I knew that something has to change, because like, unemployment felt like my life completely stopped. Like, you can't plan anything when you don't know when it ends. Well, fortunately, I had savings and I received unemployment benefits, but I knew that that could not last forever. And of course, rejection after rejection, or worse, complete silence from employers started really make me frustrated, desperate, and it just makes you feel depressed in a way that's very hard to explain. But if you've ever been unemployed, you probably know what I mean. So yeah, I didn't really know what to do. But then I came across a Finnish man who has lived in Norway for, I don't know, 3 decades, I think. And he runs webinars about how to actually get hired in Norway. And I watched several of them. And then I started thinking that oh, well, Norway seems to be doing well. Maybe I should try. And then this was like 1 year ago, in the spring 2025. I spent about a month, or maybe a month and a half, seriously applying for jobs in Norway. And then I got 2 job offers. And then I thought, okay, well, I guess this is it. It's actually happening. And yeah, that moment was a year ago from now, when I received a job. And I still remember how unreal it felt. And honestly, it still feels unreal sometimes. Like, even with a work contract signed, housing sorted, and almost a full year of living here behind me, I sometimes catch myself thinking like, is this really my life? And well, right now, looking back, it's very easy to say it was the right decision. And what I learned is that the situation in some other country might be better than in your home country. And in my case, I had to look beyond Finland's borders to find that full-time permanent job. And I'm very glad I did. Have you ever had thoughts like this? Leave a comment and let me know. Have you thought about moving abroad, and if so, like where? I'd love to hear your experiences. If you liked this video, don't forget to like it and subscribe to the channel. We'll see you again in the next video. Bye!